Today, America's foreign policy leaders are all over in Europe at the Munich Security Conference, where we've been seeing Donald Trump's infamous merit-based hiring play out in all its glory this week. When Pete Hegseth, the Fox News weekend morning host who promised to quit drinking when he became Secretary of Defense, read a statement that appeared to reverse basically 70 years of U.S. foreign policy.
We must start by recognizing that returning to Ukraine's pre-2014 borders is an unrealistic objective. That said, the United States does not believe that NATO membership for Ukraine is a realistic outcome of a negotiated settlement. Instead, any security guarantee must be backed by capable European and non-European troops.
After all hell broke loose, Hegseth was forced to make a new statement the next day.
I want to be clear about something as it pertains to NATO membership not being a realistic outcome for negotiations. That's something that was stated as part of my remarks here, as part of a coordination with how we're executing these ongoing negotiations, which are led by President Trump. So I'm not going to stand at this podium and declare what President Trump will do or won't do.
Wait. You're there. You're the Secretary of Defense. You set a policy as the Secretary of Defense working for the president. Now you're like, no, we'll see what Trump does. This all seems to have been a bit much for the senior Republican senator who actually chairs the Armed Services Committee, who called Hegseth's original speech a rookie mistake, adding, I don't know who wrote that speech. It's the kind of thing Tucker Carlson could have written, and Carlson is a fool. And all this was before J.D. Vance attacked our European allies and Donald Trump tried to shake down Ukraine for U.S. support. John Brennan served as director of the CIA, and he joins me now. First of all, Mr. Brennan, what do you think about, Hegseth? Also, in addition to what he said about Ukraine, he basically said we're not going to be a guarantor of European security, which was the real kind of 70-year break with the kind of global NATO order. That also seems to have been walked back. J.D. Vance seems to be sending some sort of cleanup contradictory messages. What do you understand about what U.S. policy here actually is?
I wish I could tell you, Chris, but it's been quite clear, I think, from ever since Hegseth's nomination was announced, that he is unqualified and lacks the experience to be the Secretary of Defense. And it was demonstrated quite visibly on the world stage in Munich. And so, again, I think it just underscores that he is way out of his league right now in terms of trying to represent the U.S. Defense Department with our foreign counterparts. But even more fundamentally, I think what we're seeing now with all of these different statements and conflicting statements, that there's a real lack of coordination within the Trump administration on these very important policies. Previously, in previous administrations, for something like the Munich Security Conference, you would have a lot of pre-event meetings, discussions, and coordination about what the policy statements are going to be. That doesn't seem to have happened here. And so therefore, I think it really is leaving a lot of our allies and partners scratching their heads about what really is the U.S. policy. And it seems to be very ad hoc, that they're making it up as they go along and they have to reverse course and change tack or whatever. So again, it's been an embarrassment, I think, the past couple of days in terms of what U.S. officials have been doing in Munich and beyond.
One thing that does seem clear, there's a few things that seem clear. One is Trump is going to have some sort of negotiation with Putin that Zelensky may or may not be involved in, or the degree to which he's involved is as yet to be determined. Maybe it's going to happen in Saudi Arabia, of all places. And it also seems, and this has been consistent, there's a lot of reporting that basically what Trump is saying to Zelensky is you have to give us something, including access to precious minerals in Ukraine, including rare earth, which is used for a lot of industrial processes used to make batteries and other things, and being very frank about it, like essentially saying we're going to take a payment here from you or else. What do you think of that?
Well, I think it just demonstrates that the Trump administration is going to use whatever tool it can to intimidate, to threaten others. The Trump administration is coming across as very arrogant, self-centered, and is going to push for its interests, irrespective of the interests of our partners and allies. And that's why I think there's just, real question marks about what is it that is going to come out of this if we're going to be shaking down the Ukrainian government. The fact that the Treasury Secretary of the United States appears in Zelensky's office with a draft contract basically giving the United States 50% of the rare earth minerals in Ukraine. It demonstrates, I think, the lack of sophistication and their ignorance about what the geopolitical realities are there. And so therefore, I think there's a lot of questions. I was in Europe earlier this week, and I must tell you that the frustration and anger with the United States has never been more palpable. It's off the scale because they really just see that there's been such a reverse, a 180 reverse of what the United States has stood for, especially in terms of European security, that this Trump administration has a much different attitude and approach that really is quite off-putting to them.
Finally and quickly, you were at the CIA, director of CIA, you were station chief in Saudi Arabia. I have to ask you, since I have you here, about the president's now repeated declarations that we're going to take over Gaza, occupy it in some way, remove all 2 million Palestinians from Gaza to create some real estate development deal that will be owned by the U.S. And what that does to American security and counterterrorism and intelligence in the region.
Well, that very statement, I think, is exceptionally dangerous because basically we're telling 2 million Palestinians, we're not only going to ignore your right to self-determination, we're going to kick you out of your homeland that you've been in for many, many generations. And so, therefore, I think it really is quite dangerous. There was a writer who wrote about this who referred to this as just sheer lunacy. It is sheer lunacy. It doesn't grasp the underlying concerns and issues that really have been the source of this problem for so many years. And so, the thought that the United States is just going to take over Gaza, push out all Palestinians, and turn it into a Riviera on the Mediterranean is just totally absurd. But again, I think it is very dangerous because it is engendering now a real feeling of animosity among a lot of individuals who are there toward the United States that is not going to go away.
John Brennan, thank you for your time tonight, sir. Appreciate it.